How do you prepare yourself for a big move? One that will pluck you up and away from the comforts of family and friends and of familiar streets. Whether it's several miles or overseas, how do you transition? How do you properly say goodbye? I'm definitely no expert, but on our move from Vancouver, BC to Hong Kong, we tried our best to build ourselves a raft. And I think it helped immensely. We decided to make this big move so that Darren, my husband, could take on a job opportunity. And in the lead up to this move, his soon-to-be employer sent us a document that would become the foundation of how we approached our goodbyes.
I appreciate you guys.
It pointed to the acronym RAFT as a way to sail more smoothly across transitional waters. And we took this acronym to heart, with rafting quickly entering our vocabulary as a way to communicate when we needed to prioritize time with friends and family over practical things like packing and cleaning. The term raft comes from a book by David C. Pollock and Ruth Van Reken called Third Culture Kids: Growing Up Among Worlds. And it's intended to be a guide on how to leave well, how to properly transition from one place to another. And though we probably could have built a sturdier raft, I do think our raft enabled us to arrive with a sense of peace. R is for reconciliation. It's about not leaving behind broken relationships. It's about forgiveness and seeking forgiveness. Even though it might seem simpler to run away from conflicts, leaving behind unresolved issues inevitably weigh us down long term. I've seen this described as carrying around a bag full of rocks with you. When you move to a new place, you don't want to take with you all the rocks from your previous home. You need to lay as many as you can down before proceeding. A is for affirmation, expressing appreciation and gratitude for the people in your life, showing that you value the relationships that you've built and thanking the people who have shaped you, impacted you. In addition to showing appreciation for friends and family, past bosses and coworkers, I also reached out to those who, perhaps unknowingly, impacted my faith journey. The advice here is to be specific, have examples of how people have helped you, of the things that you are grateful for. Tell stories of moments and memories that mean a lot to you, or even write letters. In hindsight, I do wonder if we were a little too informal with it, showing appreciation whenever we had the chance to meet up with people in our lives and sending text messages here or there. I kind of wonder if they knew they were being affirmed, like if those messages and those conversations in passing meant as much to them as it maybe did to us. I almost wish I had written proper letters so that people wouldn't have a single doubt as to how much they had impacted me. F is for farewells, the goodbyes. The main thing everybody thinks about when it comes to a big transition. Because the world today is so globalized and interconnected, it's easy to rush forward through this step, knowing that we can still text and FaceTime our friends the same way we could if we just lived down the street from them, or knowing that we're going to get social media updates from them anyways. But in building a raft, it's so important to honor the goodbyes. Recognizing that different people in our lives will have different expectations for what a goodbye looks like. Some people will be perfectly fine being invited to a goodbye party. Others might really need that one-on-one time. And for some relationships, a farewell isn't even necessarily a farewell. It's just spending as much time together as possible and cherishing every moment of it. I think this was something that caught us the most off guard. I think we really underestimated how many people in our lives would need that one-on-one time to say goodbye. And as we got closer and closer to leaving, the amount of time we had to offer became increasingly limited. But nonetheless, we did really try to carve out time. I took a whirlwind trip to Edmonton to see some family. I took 3 precious days out of moving prep to go on a girls' trip. And in addition to honoring the goodbyes to people, it's also important to take the time to say farewell to places and experiences. So in addition to spending time with all of our loved ones, Darren and I also spent time doing things around the city. We saw a play in Granville Island, went to go see the fireworks, walked through old neighborhoods and places that were special to us, and did so much reminiscing as we said goodbye to the moments and scenery and environment that shaped us and shaped our relationship. Did I mention that the term RAFT has a silent G in it for grief? The G was not in the original acronym, but it's an addition that comes from Laura Wells' book, Unstacking Your Grief Tower, and Gina Brenna-Butt's book on making peace with change. As you transition from one place to another, it's incredibly important to process the grief. The grief can come up in a lot of different ways. The grief that simply comes with saying goodbyes. The grief that maybe comes with regrets. Things that maybe you wish you could have done, people you wish you could have said goodbye to. I think this is one that came up for me a lot. And as a content creator, I feel like I had this whole extra level of things I wish I could have done. I wanted to capture footage of my favorite restaurants and meals and sights around the city. I wanted to make videos about the streets that I had walked up and down hundreds, if not thousands of times. I wanted to document things as they were when we left, in case they didn't look quite the same when I went back. But I never got around to it. Grief can also show up in the losses. Knowing that you're going to lose out on making as many memories with your loved ones. You're going to miss out on birthdays and weddings and get-togethers. And then there's also the loss of being known. And finally, T is for think destination. This is the process of actively looking forward to your new home, taking the time to research and really start to envision what your new life will look like. A lot of the times when we move, we think so much about the present and about all that we're leaving behind, and it's important to get excited about what's to come. We spent a lot of time looking at apartments and neighborhoods, even though we really wouldn't be able to officially start apartment hunting until we landed. Also started looking up different beaches and hikes and activities that Hong Kong had to offer. I started joining Hong Kong expat groups on Facebook and started saving Hong Kong themed reels on Instagram. Some people might think it's a bit creepy, but I found different content creators based in Hong Kong and just cold DM'd them, asking them if they would be open for coffee about 6 months down the line. This made it so easy to look forward to our move. By the time we set foot, I already knew the layouts of certain districts off the top of my head, and a long list of sites to see in the limited amount of time we had before Darren started working. I'm honestly really grateful that we were given some guidance for this move. I found that it grounded us throughout the process and allowed us to be really intentional with how we spent our time. I think it also really helped us to cherish the time we spent with people in our last month. It allowed us to feel really present, knowing that that time had a purpose, that it was important to our transitional process. We didn't have to feel guilty that we were spending time with our friends over packing up our home. Although if you have seen our moving vlog videos, you might say that we should have given a little bit more to packing. But given how quickly we've been adjusting to our new home, I'd say that we left pretty well.